right, welcome back, guys. This is going to be episode 2 of the TCS Motorsports shop car build, where we're going to take a 94 MR2 and push it to the limits. We're going to go for over 1,000 horsepower and a fully built 2GR turbo. Today, we're going to install some coilovers that we got from Bob Pham. Two-way Swift springs, valved for the weight of the car, and much better than what we had on there. So, and we're gonna put on a, I guess I wouldn't call it a big brake kit, but it's a drag brake kit that Eric Hux over at Hux Racing has put together for us, using Willwood rotors and these small Willwood 2-piston calipers, so much lighter than the factory caliper, and should reduce a lot of weight for us. You can see the state that the car's in right now is pretty sad. We're actually going to remove all of that wiring too. We started trying to keep a lot of the factory harness intact, and the further we got, we just kind of realized we're not using any of this stuff, so let's just get rid of it. We're going to modify the steering column just with a quick release steering wheel and get rid of pretty much all of this stuff on the stock. We've removed a lot of the sound deadening that we still have to clean up, kind of prepping it for the next step, which is going to be taking it over to some buddies of ours to do the cage work. That should be a pretty cool video also. You can see the engine bay stripped. I'm still on the fence as to whether we're going to get rid of the whole rear firewall and everything and cut out the trunk. It definitely clears up a lot of room and gives us a lot more space to do whatever we want, but I'm not sure if it's really needed with what we're going to do. We are going to be running a big trunk mount air-to-air intercooler. I'm still not sure if we're going to make something to where it's on the bottom of the trunk or either even on the top up here. And if we put it up at the top, maybe cut out the trunk lid, so when the trunk lid closes you can see just the intercooler core. Not really sure what we're going to do there yet. So today I'm also going to remove the rear hubs, and I need to press in the new hubs for the DSS axles and remove the ABS sensors. We're not going to use the factory ABS sensors or anything. So you can see the fuel cell is going to be up here. We still need to fabricate some brackets and get all that how we want it. I was just kind of seeing the size of it. I was going to start on the front here. One really neat thing that Bob does, that I don't know if he just did it for us or if he does it on all of them. I guess I haven't paid attention. The front end links that come with it are always, this piece right here is always too long to fit in. We always end up having to put the nut on, cut the end of the bolt off, and make it clear. And I started to do that, and then I looked at the other side, and Bob has already done that to this side. So this side, the bolt's already cut shorter, so we can install this here without having to modify anything. So that's pretty neat. All right, let's get to it. I think that's a pretty good spot. Still be able to get to the bottom from underneath the car. That should be out of the way of the tire. Alright, next step, we have to assemble the rotor and the rotor hat. So I am going to apply a little Loctite to each bolt. And 25 foot-pounds I'll just run them in with this and then torque them. Barely. Let me get a marker. Alright, one rotor done. Alright, one front corner done. You can see the caliper is way smaller. Mounted the reservoir with his bracket up here. Just got to connect the brake line to the caliper. Tighten all this down. Looks pretty good. I like how it comes black. After about 3 stops, that's all going to be steel. So I've gotten all the rotors torqued down, marked. I did have the rotor backwards at first, but I made a call to Eric and he told me which way the rotor needs to face to get the most clearance. So yeah, I just got to get the rest of these on. So what are your all's thoughts on getting rid of the rear firewall? Let me know in the comments if you think it'll make the end result look a little nicer if we cut all of this out and then have the intercooler mounted down low in the trunk. I'm almost thinking of, it's kind of hard to picture until we get the mock-up engine in here, but I'm trying to picture if we routed the exhaust tubing off the 2 headers and then up into the trunk and mounted the turbo up kind of high in the trunk. I think that would look pretty nice. To where maybe we have the intercooler down here on the bottom, the intercooler sitting somewhere up in here. So still not even exactly sure what we're going to do intake manifold wise. So I don't know where the throttle body is going to be. You know, I'm kind of still, it's hard to picture it until we start getting there. And then if we mount the turbo up high, I have to figure out how are we going to route the exhaust. That I kind of not a big fan of routing the exhaust out of the trunk lid or something like that. It's just so loud, which in a car like this, it doesn't really matter. But, you know, if you do end up doing some drag and drive events or something, this thing's going to be screaming. You know, obviously it's probably not that loud inside the car, but behind it and just standing beside it, it is ear-piercingly loud when you go out of the engine lid or the trunk lid or something. But we'll see. I can't wait. I'm also waiting for the Eric Hux is making us the tubular cross member and the anti-squat kit that'll be mounted up here in the front. So a lot of stuff that you guys haven't seen before on a 2GR that I'm excited. The next video here is going to be either us taking it to the chassis shop to get the roll cage put in is what I'm hoping for. If not, you'll see us putting just a test engine and transmission in this just to mock up, so we could start mock up of the wiring harness and the turbo kit and figure all that stuff out. That video will show you some cool stuff that you guys haven't seen on a 2GR before. Hux has also got us this modified oil pan. If you've ever seen a 2GR oil pan, you'll look at this and think, wow, man, it looks different. So all of this stuff is removed and ground down to make room for a motor plate. So this is going to be very firmly mounted, no bushings, no mounts. It's all just solid. So we'll go over all this stuff in the next video. You'll see motor mounts that are completely solid mounts. So yeah, should be pretty cool. Now, I'm hoping wiring the car is not as bad as I first thought. You know, the deeper you get into a drag build, in some ways the wiring is easier. You don't need to make everything work as it should. Excuse me. I think really the only things that we need to work in the car are going to be we're going to keep the power windows. I don't care about the locks, but we're going to keep the power windows. From talking to others, they said going to manual windows doesn't really save you any weight, and the roll cage bar kind of gets in the way of the crank handle. So I'm going to keep the power windows, headlights, tail lights, and turn signals. But other than that, that really is it. And from what I've seen, making the headlight retractors work once we remove all this wiring is probably going to be a little bit of a pain unless I figure out how to keep that retractor module in. So I don't plan to drive this at night very much. I'm kind of debating on just wiring the headlights to a switch, and then if we're racing at night or we're going to be driving at night, I might just pop the hood and reach in and manually twist the knob there to flip the headlights up. So I could turn the headlights on, they'll just be down, and then I can manually turn the headlights up just to put them up. That's probably the easiest method. And then if that becomes a pain, then you know, maybe I'll look into how to wire that retractor back in. We got both sides of the front done, suspension and brakes. We just have to do the rear, and then I got to pull all this wiring out. I already pulled the wiring out and de-loomed a ton of wiring, but now that we've gotten further, I think I'm just going to remove it all. As I started sifting through all of the wiring, there was just so little that was being kept. And the next step was remove this, remove that, remove this. So it kind of got to where, man, this would be a lot cleaner and nicer if we just ripped it out and wired in what we need to wire in. So that's probably the route we're going to take. All right, so that'll probably do it for this video. We came to a standstill. The bolts that hold the rotor hat on to the rotor are barely touching the caliper bracket, and Eric Hux had told us he has a bracket that has some clearance there, and I must have just not known what I needed, so I got the wrong bracket. So he's going to send us the right bracket so we could finish this up. But we did get all the suspension on, the front brakes, the rear brakes assembled. We just have to put them on with the right brackets. So hopefully the next video has some more interesting stuff with this car, that once we get it rolling, we have some pro drag radials and some skinnies that we're putting on. That'll be on in the next video. We can get the car rolling and get it to the next step. I do want to say thank you to you guys for watching the videos that we've been putting out. Probably every day or so I get a phone call, somebody asking questions about their car, and they always mention, oh hey, we've been watching the videos, they're great. So while I think the content is nothing extraordinary, it seems like you guys really like it. So we'll keep putting them out. You know, if you guys send us messages on stuff you want to see, we'll try to make content and show you guys what we're doing. Just make sure you like and subscribe so you know, you guys get the content as soon as it comes out, and we'll catch you on the next video.